Okay, Christians love to use the scripture about unequally yoked when talking about relationship. But what does unequally yoked actually mean?
The scripture we're looking at just quickly is 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14, and it says basically, "Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion does light have with darkness?" So that's the basic summary of the verse.
Yeah.
Now, what is a yoke?
It's not this.
A yoke is basically the beam, usually of wood,
Like this.
yes, that would join two animals as they pull the plough in a field. In other words, they are joined together to do work.
What is the problem when a plough is unequally yoked is you are not going to be able to get a straight line of ploughing because you will just go in circles.
That's right.
You will probably damage yourself trying to help it get in
To maintain straightness.
to do something,
Yes.
and then your animals will damage themselves as well.
Yes.
Because they're not going to work well together.
Like you wouldn't partner up two completely different animals, like, you know, an ox with a donkey, or
Yeah, that's not going to work.
an ox with a fox, or
In socks.
pulling
With
rocks.
locks.
So the meaning of this scripture is actually pretty clear, at least in this particular usage. Don't marry. If you are a Christian, don't marry someone who is not.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
And the reason for that, of course, is because you need to be equally, you're together, so you're committed together, you're bound together, therefore you need to be equally aiming at the same target
Exactly.
together.
Like, and sometimes people can be like, often you hear Christians like, "Oh, I'm going to change her. I'm going to change him." That's not your place.
No.
That's not your place. That's God. That's God who does that work. And you getting married is not going to fix that other person how you deem to fix them.
Well,
It's God who changes the
Yeah.
person, and not a marriage. Doesn't like you're married, therefore your eternal soul is saved from. It doesn't work like that.
No. And the truth is, at the point when you make the commitment and the covenant. At the point when you make the commitment and the covenant together to be married, why would the person change on a fundamental level after you've already agreed with them to go ahead through life with them? That's
You marry the person who's with you at the altar, not who they're going to be in 10 years' time.
yes, and you can't even arrange who they're going to be in 10 years' time.
Yes, I plan for you to have a bigger beard than when we got married, but
So far, it's working out.
But you can't. It's not your place. It's not. You can't go into a marriage saying I'm going to change them. It's just not. But the Bible does actually talk about, like, furthering the book of Corinthians, Paul does actually talk about where Christian people who they're married and then one of them becomes a Christian and how that sort of dynamic can work. And we will make a video on that coming up.
That's some later date, yes. Now there is another element that we probably should look at, and we touched it in our video about how do you know that this person is the one.
The one.
The one.
The one.
The one.
The one.
And that is to do with, are you equally yoked in ministry? And that is a huge fundamental deal, because again, one of you will have a target for something. If the other person has a completely different target for something else, if they're conflicty, then there's going to be strife, and you want to avoid strife, So if one person's path goes one direction like so, and then the other one, it really doesn't agree, so they're going to go that kind of direction, then at some point there's going to be a difficult time.
Yeah, like for example, if you've got like one person and they're like very committed to their church community, their church family, and like church work, and they're gonna make sure they're involved, that they're like fully involved in the service or whatever, and the other person's sort of like take it or leave it. It's gonna.
That dynamic cannot be sustained.
Have some issues.
Yeah, it cannot be sustained together.
Yeah.
So that's difficult. Now, all of that said, it doesn't mean that you can't be friends with non-Christians.
Yeah, like
of course you can. That's
like
it.
The verse is talking about a deeper commitment, a deeper relationship with someone. Like if you're yoked, if like the two animals, they're not just like walking next to each other in a field. Hi, what's up? Like they're actually physically bound together.
They're strapped
together. They're like you can't. They can't get away. So
that's right. So
it's not talking about just sort of like having like your mate at work or like your friend from school or something.
Or being in business together or something like that.
It's talking about like a deep connection.
This is an intimate level type connection that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Marriage is intimate, let's be clear.
Yeah.
And that's a deep level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in marriage and relationships from a Christian perspective, that's what our channel's about. So hit the subscribe button and we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.